Наш следующий спикер – опытный маркетолог и увлеченный бармен с более 10-летним опытом работы, член Кубинской ассоциации барменов с 2014 года, глава Havana Club мастер-класс программ, член мирового жюри Гран-при Havana Club, крупнейшего международного коктейльного конкурса Havana Club. Встречайте Alfredo Guerra, международный бренд-амбассадор бренда Havana Club.
Welcome everybody, bienvenidos to this amazing presentation about the Cuban roots, the rum, the roots of the rum, and then how this rum and the culture in Cuba have been evolving to what we have today. So, of course, Cuba has been famous by vintage cars, by cigars, by famous dancers, writers, but also by the drinks and by the spirit we have. This small island has profoundly influenced the way that the world thinks, move, dance, but also the way that the world drink and enjoy this amazing spirit that is rum. So rum usually has been talked about that spirit like a category of a spirit that is not regulated, that can be good or that can be bad, depending on the way that you're seeing it. What is actually the rum? Because this is the most important question to understand how the rum has moved from the beginning to what we have today in Cuba and also around the world. Oh, actually, rum is a sugarcane-based distillate, can be produced by using the molasses, which is a byproduct of a sugar production, or can be produced by sugarcane juice, for example, and also the cachaça in Brazil. This is basically the rum. But of course, we can find today a lot of styles to classify the rum. Basically, there are two styles or ways of classifying the rum. One of them is attending to the color, and the other one is attending to the origin of the rum. Attending to the color, the well, can be kind of tricky to classify the product, because what is a white rum can be an unaged rum, or can be also an aged rum that was stripped the color by using a carbon filtration. But of course you can also find a dark rum because it was aged, has matured in barrels for many years, or because it was simply artificially colored. That's why we prefer to introduce this category, another classification that is attending to the origin of rum. So, there is an old saying in Cuba that says that without sugar cane, there is no country. Without sugar, there is no country. But there is now also rum. Because there is a famous book about the rum in Cuba. The name is The Happy Song of the Sugar Cane. Well, first of all, in Cuba was sugar production. And the plant, the sugar cane, is not originally from Cuba, from the Caribbean. Well, the Caribbean is the birthplace of the rum. Cuban, Jamaican, Trinidad and Tobago, all the rums that were born in the Caribbean 1500s. Of course, but the sugar cane, the plant, it comes from the Southeast Asia, from New Guinea, or maybe India, maybe China. Then, like the silk, made a trip to, first of all, Europe, the Canary Islands, and then an Italian, Christopher Columbus, brought the sugar cane to Cuba, and we start to produce the sugar, not the rum. So, all those countries that they have colonies in the Caribbean, they were producing rum. Cuba, and that's important to understand how big and how important was the rum, or the Cuban rum for the world. Cuba, in this part, wasn't the first country producing the rum. So we were a Spanish colony, and in Spain, they had the brandy production. So they didn't want competitors with local production in Cuba, so they bounded. The Spanish crown bounded the production of a rum for many centuries in Cuba. So it was illegal to produce rum in Cuba. So we have rum, first of all, in the English colony. So the English, they can claim being the first producing the rum. So, of course, in every all those countries, there is a different style of producing the rum. I told you before that can be produced by using the molasses, that is the byproduct for sugar production, or can be used just directly produced from the sugarcane juice. So for example, the English style of rum, Jamaica, most famous in Jamaica, they produce the rum by using the molasses. So they have the sugar production, they obtain the molasses, and then fermentation, distillation, aging or not, but the raw material is the molasses. Then you have the French style, also known as rum agricole, also the cachaça, of course, that they are producing the rum from the sugarcane juice directly, or guarapo, as we call it in Cuba. And then you have the Spanish style of rum. The Spanish style of rum was born in Cuba in the 19th century. This is a kind of complicated to understand because today we made a difference between Spanish and Cuban style of rum. Because that in the 20th century, all those countries like Panama, Guatemala,